Hello there everybody, this is the Flames of Insanity here, and this is just a quick disclaimer at the beginning. So, this is going to be like a remastered version of the video that I posted up on the War of the Peace channel. Because I didn't exactly like how that video ended up. You know, just like the editing was garbage, to say the least. I thought that I could have done better, so then I edited out a lot of unnecessary fluff, and one of the lines has been remastered. One of them, not all of them, but one of them. So then, I just wanted to say that, and please enjoy the commentary. Hello there, everybody. This is the Wires of Peace here. And today I'm going to be making a commentary on Netscape and Anita Sarkeesian, of course, because who hasn't? So then, without further ado, let's get into the commentary.
It's not a game, I'm not a robot, and I'm challenging you. I'm not a man, I'm in your face, and I'm here to see you through. Rocket for your eyes.
Jason escapes and encounters a group of island natives called the Rakyat, who enlist his help to rid their island of the pirates.
Now, I haven't played Far Cry 4, but it sounds like these natives are the good guys. So, aren't they putting diversity in the game? They're having non-white people native to the region who are both good and bad.
Actually, I'm not thinking that either of these two are portrayed as the good guy in the game, sensing that the way of getting rid of the pirates is basically eradicating them. And the tribal leader at the end of the game, by the way, spoilers, stabbed you. Stabbed you. Yeah. Neither of them are portrayed as the good guys. In fact, calling your main protagonist the main protagonist would probably be a stretch of the word, something that everyone's here doing this for their own personal gains.
Who's viewed among her people as a warrior goddess. Under her guidance, Jason's adventure rapidly becomes an absurd hodgepodge of racist stereotypes about tribal cultures and brown women. At one point, Citra gives Jason a hallucination-inducing drink which leads him into battle with an imagined giant. After he defeats the monster, he's rewarded with a topless Citra, telling him that he's now part of the tribe.
You are Rakyat.
Citra's strange mystical powers return later in the game when she blows a glowing dust into Jason's face.
I'm sorry, magic glowing dust? Oh, you know, that could be a grind of the natural plants that have been put into factories as hallucinogenic drugs. Yes, there's a gigantic factory in Far Cry 3 filled with grinds of these plants. Yeah, magic dust my behind.
Triggering another hallucinatory sequence that culminates in the game-ending choice, to save Jason's friends and leave the island, or to do Citra's bidding, to savagely kill his friends and stay on the island with her. If players choose to murder Jason's friends and stay with Citra, a scene plays in which the two of them have sex. Then she stabs him while stating that their child will become the new leader of the tribe. I guess those mystical tribal powers of hers just immediately let her know that she's already pregnant.
I'll be yours.
On one hand, Citra is yet another example of a female character whose sexuality is presented as a motivator and reward for the presumed straight male player.
I like that you just lightly skim over the fact of you've been stabbed. You know, because that's totally a sexual turn-on for me. I do it every night. No, that's usually not exactly a reward if you've been stabbed. I really want to know, what type of crap have you been smoking? Maybe it's the stuff on that island, you never know.
Okay. There's a sex scene in the game. So what? You say that it's a reward for making the right choice in the game. It's a reward for the presumably straight white male player, but whatever. Ignoring that last part there, how would you rather them do it? How would you rather them make your choices in the game affect your romance outcome or your sexual outcome in the story. Because it seems like no matter what you do, you can't win with you. You can't win. Because no matter what you do in any sort of game that has multiple choices in it, where the player's choices matter, and there is a sex scene, then it's automatically wrong. It's automatically sexist. Well, how would you rather them do it then? How would you rather them tell a story where your choices matter and have it not be a reward, a sexual reward for the player? How would you rather them do that? By your logic, pretty much any visual novel that exists is sexist. Any video game with romance options is sexist. The only way, by your own logic, to make a game that has romance in it and is not sexist is to make it 100% linear. To make it so that no matter what happens, the ending is always the same. Or there's always a sex scene in this particular part, no matter what you do in the game. This is always going to happen. It's a stationary event. But if that's going to be the case, why not just make a movie? Why not write a book? Video games are about interactivity. Video games are about having choices. Yet by having those choices, it's sexist. It's wrong, according to you, because it's rewarding the player for making the right choice. So even a game that is generally praised for being very good at how it handles diversity, like the Mass Effect series, now it's sexist because even though the characters are really well fleshed out, even though they're very well written, have these really long story arcs, it doesn't matter because if you make the right choices, you can choose to have sex with the character in the game. So now that's automatically wrong. It's automatically sexist because the player is making choices, and those choices lead to a reward in your eyes.
But there's something.
Actually, no, that probably wouldn't exactly help anything. In fact, I'm thinking that might be worse in her eyes, because it's over-sexualizing a character with absolutely no input from the player. Congratulations, champ, you made this far in the game. Now here's some porn.
Over the balance of the Triforce. When the evil Ganondorf drives the light from the sorceress's soul, she splits into two, with her virtuous half becoming Lana, who, like the similarly righteous Link and Zelda, is fair-skinned. Meanwhile, her evil half becomes the darker-skinned Sia, who casts dark magic, wears an extremely sexualized outfit, and whose body is adorned with markings reminiscent of tribal body paint. These differences between Lana and Sia, two halves of the same being, directly link the color of their skin to their goodness and virtue, falsely suggesting that a lighter skin tone reflects a purer, more noble spirit. In reality, lighter-skinned women of color are often depicted as more desirable and more virtuous because they come closer to meeting the culturally dominant white beauty standards. This insidious notion that a darker skin tone reflects a less moral or virtuous soul is hardly new to the Zelda franchise, in which the heroic and noble characters like Link and Zelda are fair-skinned, while the recurring villain Ganondorf is associated with the darker-skinned Gerudo people.
Remember that? I always remember that. In fact, that is in Hyrule Warriors, an extremely light-skinned character in a Zelda game. He's an extremely light-skinned villain alongside, I would say, Gilham, but in the end, looking at a second form, he would probably be sent to darker-skinned. But in the end, though, either way, that does not exactly count as an exception, nor does Gilham, because they are both in Hyrule Warriors, a game which you point to for evidence. I'm sorry. What?
All these stereotypes are anything but harmless. Here in the United States, racist images and stereotypes of black women have been doing tremendous harm for centuries. In fact, false ideas about black women as inherently hypersexual beings were perpetuated in Southern slaveholding society. This was a time when oppressive Victorian ideas still held sway, creating a false sense of womanhood as inherently domestic, submissive, chaste, innocent, and modest. But the reality of black women's lives as slaves was irreconcilable with these notions. Not only were female slaves, of course, denied any and all basic rights as people, they were also often forced to be naked when on display at auctions, were regularly whipped in partial or total nudity as punishment, and were frequently sexually assaulted and raped by their owners.
Except for male slaves were treated the exact same way, whipped in partial or near entire nudity, because they were punished. And they were
nude auctions to show their worth. Male or female,
the right
they were
obviously not
still
represent
treated
an
like
actual
culture.
culture.
The one in the middle is sticking an obvious knowing the male slave is an obvious over-exaggeration, an argument, and the one the left debunked with is an alternate costume which are still shown pushes evidence. No,
her
I am not
central
letting
book-
that go.
Mystical powers, skimpy, tattered clothing, body paint, and racialized hypersexualization are used as shorthand for exotic. As a result, these signifiers reinforce extremely false and damaging stereotypes about the people and cultures that they're appropriating. These false, harmful myths and stereotypes continue to contribute to the marginalization and oppression of women of color in America today.
The only thing that I can say about both of these content creators is to show evidence. And especially you, Anita, show better evidence. Because I'm pretty sure that an alternate costume in a video game that is completely optional does not count as any sort of basic evidence on any sort of a scale. But, in the end, with all of that being said, this has been the War of the Peace, and as always, I will see you guys on the flip side.